Being a chosen one, a person set apart by extraordinary purpose, vision, or potential, often means standing out from the crowd. These individuals are celebrated for their strength, wisdom, resilience, and often their unique connection to a higher cause or power. However, just as they experience remarkable highs, chosen ones also walk paths unseen by others, paths marked with their private battles and internal conflicts. Among the many struggles that secretly plague chosen ones, one of the most challenging and least discussed is the battle with lust. From the outside looking in, it might seem inconceivable that such empowered people could be plagued by desire, temptation, and the magnetic pull of the flesh. Yet this struggle is not just real, it is often more intense and complex than for others. There are deep underlying forces at play when chosen ones secretly wrestle with lust. These forces transcend simple explanations. The reasons do not rest simply on biology or the surface temptations of the physical world. Instead, they intertwine with their calling, their capacity for love, their sensitivity, and the relentless scrutiny under which they live. Here are 5 reasons why chosen ones may face profound and often secret struggles with lust. First, the heightened sensitivity that marks the chosen often brings with it a heightened experience of all emotions and desires, including lust. Chosen ones are different in that their sensory perceptions and emotional intelligence operate on a higher frequency. They don't just feel what others feel, they feel it in technicolor, amplified, layered, and sometimes overwhelming. Love, compassion, pain, hope, all are experienced deeply. This gift, so vital for leadership, empathy, and creativity, presents a double edged sword. With their capacity to tune into the suffering and needs of others, chosen ones are acutely aware not just of their own inner world, but also the energies and emotions of those around them. They may easily absorb the romantic or sexual longings of others, inadvertently internalizing desires that are not purely their own. This intensified connection to emotion can make lust feel more urgent and inescapable. The world teems with images, stories, and interactions that trigger desire. And for the chosen, the impact can be overwhelming. The experience is more potent, more vivid, and far more persistent. Where others might brush off a fleeting feeling, the chosen may find it lingering, echoing, almost haunting. This intensity can create inner turmoil as they judge themselves, wondering why they cannot simply turn off their desires, and feeling ashamed that their heightened sensitivity, a trait that is supposed to be a gift, amplifies temptation in such an unexpected way. Second up, the unique isolation that chosen ones face often drives them to seek connection and intimacy in secret, sometimes unhealthy ways. The path of the chosen is rarely crowded. To carry a special calling is to be set apart, often misunderstood or even resented by peers. While others may have many confidants and companions, chosen ones very often walk alone, their deeper truths reserved only for themselves. This isolation is not just social, it's existential. Who can truly understand the burdens they carry? Who will listen without judgment or jealousy? In the void created by this isolation, a deep and sometimes desperate longing for intimacy can surface. The ache for someone who truly sees them, touches them, understands the secret chapters of their lives can be all consuming. Lust in this context is not just about physical attraction. It is about a longing to merge, to be fully seen and accepted by another soul. The search for this connection can lead to secret struggles, moments of weakness, poor decisions, or hidden relationships that are out of alignment with their higher purpose. The paradox is painful. The very people who are called to inspire and uplift others may be, in private, seeking solace in fleeting encounters or fantasy, trying to fill the void of loneliness with physical closeness. Third, chosen ones live under relentless scrutiny and expectation, which can create immense pressure to appear perfect, driving their struggle with lust deeper underground and paradoxically making it stronger. Society, family, friends, and even spiritual communities often hold chosen ones to an impossibly high standard. They are expected to be wise, steady, and above reproach, serving as role models in every area of their lives, both public and private. The cost of failure, or even perceived weakness, can seem catastrophic. With the eyes of so many upon them, chosen ones are often terrified of being exposed. The fear of judgment makes it unthinkable to talk openly about their struggles. So the battle with lust is waged silently, in secret. What could have been confessed and healed in the light is instead hidden, allowed to grow in shame and secrecy. What begins as an ordinary human struggle becomes a source of deep torment as they berate themselves for their failings and isolate themselves further. The emotional energy required to hide this part of themselves only magnifies the intensity of their desire and their struggle. The battle with lust becomes not just about desire itself, but about the terror of being found out and the pressure to perform perfection. Fourth, chosen ones are often targeted more aggressively by spiritual and psychological opposition, making their battle with lust a matter of warfare, not mere weakness. In many spiritual traditions and within countless personal testimonies, the higher the calling, the more fierce the opposition. Dark forces, negativity, or simply the pressure of the world's expectations seem to converge on those who have been set apart for a bigger purpose. If lust is a weapon, it is often aimed most carefully at those who stand in the light. There's a reason for this. If the chosen one can be brought down by their own desires, their witness, influence, and positive impact can be neutralized. This is a spiritual attack as old as time, aimed at bringing leaders, healers, visionaries, and difference makers to their knees. The whispers of temptation, the endless parade of alluring opportunities, and the inner voice sowing doubt and weakness. It all conspires to entrap the chosen in cycles of guilt, secrecy, and shame. The more they rise in influence, the bigger the target on their back. The struggle with lust becomes not just a personal failing, but a pivotal battleground in their journey. Overcoming it is not just about self control, it's about spiritual survival. Finally, chosen ones often possess an extraordinary capacity for love, creativity, and passion. Qualities that are easily mischanneled if not carefully stewarded. The source of their struggle with lust is often a distortion of their greatest gifts. Passion is essential to their purpose. They love deeply, create passionately, and pour themselves into everything they do. Their calling demands intensity and focus, and their capacity for connection is immense. But when this passion is not directed toward its higher purpose, it seeks alternative outlets. The line between creative energy, spiritual longing, and sexual desire is thinner than it appears. What begins as legitimate longing for connection, inspiration, and union can, without mindful guidance, morph into uncontrolled desire and fixation on physical pleasure. Lust, then, is simply misplaced passion, an unguarded heart pouring itself into the wrong vessel. Chosen ones who have not learned to channel their passions wisely find themselves easily ensnared, surprised by the strength of their desires and the speed with which they can be swept away. This misdirection does not mean that their passion is evil, it is a sign of their potential greatness. But the struggle is real. To the outsider, it might look like hypocrisy or moral failure. To the chosen one, it is a desperate wrestling match, a battle to reclaim their energy and focus for the purpose they were born to fulfill. So, how can chosen ones transform this secret struggle into growth, healing, and renewed strength? First, honest self acceptance is crucial. Chosen ones must recognize that their heightened emotions, deep need for connection, and immense passion are not flaws. They are features. It is only when they are denied, shamed, or rejected that these gifts become twisted. Acknowledging the reality of their struggle and embracing their humanity without judgment is the first step to healing. Second, they must learn to cultivate healthy vulnerability and connection with trusted allies. The burden of secrecy is heavy. To share their journey with a wise mentor, counselor, or fellow traveler brings light to the shadows and opens the way for accountability and compassion. They are not alone in their suffering. Many others, both chosen and not, walk this path. Third, chosen ones benefit from practicing radical self-care, engaging in practices that ground the body, soothe the mind, and replenish the spirit. Regular meditation, creative work, movement, and spiritual disciplines help redirect desire toward fulfillment rather than quick gratification. Channeling passion into art, service, or deep spiritual practice transforms the energy of desire into something transcendent and nourishing. Fourth, understanding and resisting negative influences or patterns is vital. Chosen ones can learn to recognize triggers, both external and internal, that set off unhelpful patterns of thought or behavior. Instead of reacting with shame, They can interrupt those patterns, remind themselves of their true worth, and turn instead to healthier expressions of their longings. Finally, finding and aligning with their higher purpose is the anchor that keeps them steady in the storm. When passion is intertwined with purpose, when desire is redirected toward calling, lust loses its hold. The longing for connection, for union, is fulfilled not just in fleeting moments, but in a life lived with integrity and love. In truth, the struggle with lust is not a referendum on a chosen one's worth, destiny, or holiness. It is simply the friction created when great potential meets the reality of human limitation. If embraced with courage and honesty, this struggle can become the very place where the chosen one is refined, humbled, and empowered for even greater impact. To anyone who suspects they are walking this path, to the leaders, the healers, the creatives, the visionaries, the message is this: you are not alone. Your struggle does not disqualify you. In fact, it is the sign of a story still unfolding, a reminder of the depth of your humanity, the magnitude of your calling, and the power of love that is yours to wield. Lust, when understood and harnessed, becomes a teacher rather than a trap. It shows you where you long most deeply: to connect, to create, to be known. Embrace the journey, trust the process. Know that what you carry is heavy because it is precious, and know that even in your secret struggles, you remain chosen, not despite your humanity, but because of it.